Hi, welcome back to New Earth Storytime. Today we're reading Chapter 14 of the metaphysical fiction we came here to play, and my name's Dawn. So let's jump right in. Today's title is Convergence. After last night's immersion, I had slept with my bed raised into the sky dome, drinking in the delicious mystery ladled out by the Big Dipper. The moon was starting to get fuller, and I felt the bathing quality of it rather than as something that kept me awake. The peace of it all felt deeper somehow, but I suppose that had a lot to do with the space I was in when I left the collective focusing at the performance hall. I sensed the change of dark to light through my still closed eyes. When I opened them, I gasped in wonder at the painting of the sky with peach and plum-colored pancake clouds. I was hungry to begin a new day. It will be interesting to see what the Earth messengers are picking up this morning, following the energy clearing we all participated in last night. I lowered my bed down into the main room and jumped out to get dressed and on my way. When I arrived at the infinity loop to join the others, I no longer felt like a newcomer. While they all made me feel welcomed and accepted from the beginning, I now felt worthy of their love and knew that it was genuine. Something had changed. I had changed. The tension in the earth had changed, and it was all good. Xander was back drawing this morning, and I noticed that he had come on his own. It was wonderful to see him blossoming in a world that was ready for his beauty, where the surrounding environment nurtured rather than irritated his highly aware senses. Today I was wondering about when it would be appropriate for me to step onto the path. I just felt into it and went. The staticky hum from yesterday was gone, and what I picked up on more was the potent, intoxicating scent of spring blossoms being carried on the light breeze. I felt complete in 2 laps and headed to the cafe to wait for the remainder of the walkers to join. Once all of us were there, Michelle convened the reporting. Good morning, everyone. I hope you all got to see the magnificent sunrise this morning. We all shook our heads yes and smiled. Who would like to begin today? Joelle started off. I'm sensing that the necessary pressure has been released in the Alaskan portion of the Ring of Fire, which will eliminate the risk of a major disruption of physical systems. Any remaining backwash pressure along the ley line will be discharged as small tremors. We all nodded in agreement. Is there anything else that needs to be addressed at this time? Michelle checked in. When nothing more was offered, she directed comments to our interdimensional group. I want to thank all of you for a particularly potent immersion last night. Your willingness to participate by moving your own blocks was of great service. With that, we concluded the official check-in, and our group slowly dispersed. I see that Sabrina is talking to Will, who is here in his usual smart attire, and at what must be his regular table. He winks at me with one of his twinkling eyes as I pass by. Kai had arranged to meet Callie at the cafe after the Earth Messenger check-in. They were leaving just ahead of me, and I heard them talking about going over to the communication center to check out the video production equipment. I felt an impulse to go that way as well, and just then a cafe patron brushed in between us and caught my attention. She said something out of the blue, but by now I knew to pay attention. If you like classic movies, they have this for download at the communication center. I suggest you take friends, and then she disappeared into the thin air she seemed to come out of, I looked down at the piece of paper she had slipped into my hand and read it. The bridge over the river Kai is cellular. I picked up my pace to catch back up to Kai and Kelly, Kai, someone just gave me a clue which appears to be for you, and it seems somehow I'm a part of it too. Kai looked at it, and under his breath he kept repeating, "The bridge is cellular, the bridge is cellular, the bridge is cellular," as if saying it enough times would surface the meaning. Callie weighed in, saying, "Kai is coming with me because I am interested in the possibility of using video as a tool for empowering young women and redefining beauty. It's awesome to have you along to help us brainstorm, Chrysalis." She continued, "I asked Kai to be part of this process because I feel that an important part of my empowering young women has to do with teaching them to love and respect themselves. The masculine has been dominant, but not empowered. That is not the sacred masculine anyway. The masculine and feminine go hand in hand." She tenderly reached out and took Kai's hand. "I feel a lot of connection with Kai, and a great deal of respect for how he expresses his male energy. There is a confident, quiet tenderness which doesn't need to assert itself. When a man is in humble service to the feminine, first and foremost to protect her, he will be gifted beyond his wildest imagination. When a woman sees and deeply appreciates the gifts of the male, her cup will also be filled. Confidence, mutual respect, and self-respect are key to the unfolding and expressed beauty of both the masculine and feminine aspects. They are intertwined like a Celtic knot. I have to say that what you shared with me yesterday and what you just said moved me deeply, and I know whatever it is you're going to do will be a powerful gift for young women," I said appreciatively. "Well, I got a clue to meet someone named Tatiana at the video studio, so I think we are all in for some more interesting unraveling of a larger mystery." Callie beamed. "Shall we?" she asked as she invited us to proceed. As we continued walking, an image popped up in my mind connected to what Callie had shared. It was an aha moment, and I blurted out, "Oh my God, Callie, the Celtic knot, the turning scars into beauty, the tattoo I saw you admiring yesterday." I was sort of stammering, trying to make the flood of thoughts and words coherent. "I think I'm with you," she said. "I have been noticing tattoos, and you know the way that things seem to show up everywhere and are almost flashing at you when you are supposed to pay attention? So say more." "Well, when I got my tattoo, I had done an internet search for designs. There was a design that had gone viral at the time of a full halter tattoo. The woman it was on had gotten it to bring beauty back to her scarred body after radical mastectomy. The edging on the halter was a chain of Celtic knots that came up around her neck and hung down her back. The main section of the halter was a lush rainforest ecosystem. It was incredible." "Now I know why I'm meeting Tatiana," Callie said excitedly. "Thank you, Chrysalis, for bringing that together for me." We arrived at the communication center where a tall, slender, exotic-looking black woman with long cornrowed hair and blue eyes was standing in the reception area to greet us. "You must be Callie, Kai, and Chrysalis," she offered. "I'm Tatiana. The video bay is open now, and let's go have some fun playing." "So what's the goal of your project?" Tatiana asked Callie. "Well, It started out focused on empowering young girls and redefining beauty, which will still be an outcome if I do this right. But now it feels broader, more about all of us just remembering who we really are beyond gender, beyond bodies. It feels like there aren't really words to capture it, like we have to get past mental concepts. So what if you don't use words? Tatiana suggested. Well, how do you make an engaging video without words? Callie wondered. Tell a story with movement, images, music, and frequency that creates resonance. Something that awakens cellular memory of who we are and what we are connected to, Tatiana suggested. Just then, Kai's wheels clicked into place. Just then, Kai's wheels clicked into place. Oh my God, the bridge is cellular. I can bridge the importance of the stories carried by my people through the modern medium of film and video if I combine the elements in a way that will awaken cellular memory. Tell us more, Kai and Callie almost said in unison to Tatiana. One of the crises of your time was the colony collapse disorder that threatened the bee population. A pioneering beekeeper who also worked with subtle energy and frequencies realized what the bees needed was to have their hives next to the frequencies of a healthy hive, and in order to restore their cellular memory. She was able to make recordings of the healthiest hives at different times of year when the hive was in different phases of development. Coincidentally, Kai, the healthy hives were in Hawaii. She also used special energy tools to strengthen the field and amplify the frequencies. Anyway, her results were impressive. Are you getting where I'm going with this? All of us were on the edge of our seats, and I could see expressions on Kai and Callie's faces like an aha was right on the tip of their tongues. Callie diverted from the frequency piece for a moment and said, "What I'm seeing is an image of the scarred earth, like I was shown yesterday when we visited different sites, overlapping with images of restoration and beauty. I see my own body as it is now and how it can be used as a canvas for a new story to take people through the journey of the pain to the possibility. It has to convey love, respect, and hope. I understand how music is an essential part of creating the right tone. Is that what you mean by frequency?" Music is frequency, and yes, audible music is a key element. There are also powerful frequencies that are not audible to the human ear, at least not with the level of sensory activation you had prior to coming here. For example, the Schumann resonance is a low-level frequency emitted by the earth, which is beneficial to all of life. It's not audible, but it is received and registered by the cells. Actually, the frequency of the bees is similar, ancient and beneficial resonance. Having these frequency tracks woven into your video can activate alignment with this ancient memory. Also for you, Kai, there is an energy transmission or frequency with the traditional chant and hula. When it is carried with reverence, it has mana or life force. That energy comes from the na'au, as your people would say, or the place of inner wisdom or consciousness. It will be captured in the videos. Kai nodded to affirm what she was saying. This is so exciting, Kelly shared. But is it possible to do all this when we go back to our time? Absolutely. There are people who understand these things who will be there to help you. Would you like to watch an example so you can experience what it feels like to be taken deep very quickly? Tatiana asked. It's one thing to talk about that kind of experience. It's another thing to have the tangible, physical understanding of what it is you are going for. For sure, we said in our various ways as we kicked back in our chairs and she dimmed the lights and cued the video. The first piece was a filming of one of the immersion trance dances. The second was of Polynesian dancers blended back and forth with the images of the earth that were depicted in the chant and dance. It was a combination of what Kelly and Kai had envisioned. Tatiana was right. It was important to experience it because I had never had a video shift me so quickly like that. It took me beyond into intellectual processing or commentary and dropped me right into my na'au as she had described it. Before we left the communication center, Tatiana handed Kelly a card and said, "She's expecting you in about an hour." Kelly looked at the card and smiled. "Hey, Chrysalis, check it out." And she turned the card for me to look at. Rachel Ringwald, Visionary Tattoo Artist, Art Studio 3. "That's so rad," I said, shaking my head like, what's next? "Hey, will I see you tonight at the open mic?" I asked before we headed off in different directions. "Oh yeah," she said, like she had some surprise up her sleeve. Kai headed off with her. It seemed that since they connected, they were pretty much joined at the hip. It's cool because they are both such awesome people. I also wondered what was going to happen for them, for all of us, when we go back. As I got ready to leave the communication center, I noticed the sign on the wall that Luna had texted me about yesterday. It was next to the broadcasting room, where I assumed Michelle did her reporting from. Anyway, there was a young guy coming out of there who looked like he was up on this sort of thing. "Excuse me," I said, pointing to the sign. "Do you know about this?" "Yeah, sure," he said, willing to be diverted from whatever task he was involved in. "So, I went on the Virtuosity site, and I get the social networking part, but I'm curious about what the member hosts do. All of the communities do something different for the engagement experience they create for attendees. When people are hosted here, they play the game, just like you are." I thought to myself, is it stamped on my forehead or something? And then I reminded myself, no, it's in the field. "Can people use the credits in their transaction accounts in other communities?" I asked. "Some, but not all. However, there's no charge to attend the gathering, because the point is to encourage in-person participation to create a strong network. Each host community absorbs the gathering costs, but expenses are minimal because people can teleport in, and members with active pages on the site arrange their own accommodations with people they have friended in the hosting community. If there's overflow, we have community members who volunteer to host someone for a couple of nights." "Wow, I hope I get to attend one someday. It sounds like a great time." "Yeah, it is," he said. "Maybe you'll start one where you are." With that, he continued on his way, and I continued on mine, although I wasn't clear where I was off to yet. I was feeling so full from all that had happened since I'd been here, and my mind could use some downtime. I decided to go over to the renewal rooms to see if there was an opening this afternoon. As I headed out the path to the rooms, I noticed something different than the first time I came out here. What I had thought was a bunch of dead sticks lining both sides of the path now have plump buds on them. I stopped, fascinated by such an interesting plant. "They are just about to bloom," a middle-aged woman commented, who was passing from the opposite direction. What kind of plant is it? I asked curiously. Queen of the desert cactus. It's a big deal when it blooms, since it only happens every few years. The amazing thing about it is that there is some coordinating intelligence, because the blooms that are the fullest and are ready to open wait for the rest. They all have to bloom at the same time to make seeds. Does it have a scent? Yes, it's incredibly fragrant. Some say it smells like milk and honey. It's blossoming soon, you said? I asked quietly, my thoughts drifting to a connection I sensed. Yes, any time. The woman continued on, and I felt the impulse to lie on the ground next to the plants and to ask them for a little more time. When I got back up, I continued the short distance to the renewal rooms. There was one available. I entered, removed my clothes, and slid into the soothing warmth of the tub, feeling the same serenity as the day I had arrived. The rest of the afternoon slipped by, and it was time to head over to the cafe for the storytelling experiment Drew had talked me into. I stopped back at my room and changed for the evening, because I wanted to stay for the open mic at 8. When I got to the cafe, Drew was in the back corner setting up a cozy private space with a table for two. It was covered with a tablecloth that had a pattern of stars and little girls sitting on slivers of moons, fishing for stars. The only thing that was missing on the table was a crystal ball. "Hey, Drew, are you going to be first?" I said playfully, hoping that he wasn't going to say yes. "I would, but I have some things I need to do to get the cafe ready for open mic. I'll have Sabrina let people know you're back here." I'm kind of surprised Sabrina is here tonight. I thought she usually worked mornings. She does, but she loves open mic too. "Cool," I replied. "I'm always happy to see her." I settled nervously into my seat, wondering how this whole thing was going to go. Fortunately, I didn't have too much time to think about it before an elder man, in some of the simple clothing many of the residents wear, approached and asked, "Are you open for business?" Interesting first candidate, I thought to myself. Here we don't discount anyone's abilities based on age. I believe you're quite capable, and I look forward to receiving your perceptions," he said, in transparency speak. I laughed to myself, thinking, who's reading who here? I also remembered that Drew said about not taking myself too seriously and having fun with the process. "Absolutely, have a seat," I offered jovially. "Can I ask your name?" "Oh, yes, excuse me. I'm Norman." "Okay, Norman," I said slowly, looking deeply into his eyes to explore what wanted to be seen. "You recently lost someone dear to you." Wait a second, I thought. That's not light and fun. Then I heard, "Just go with it." "She said you forgot to put the cap back on the toothpaste this morning, and that she's not going anywhere until you are ready to go with her. She also said no rush, because she's having a perfectly good time hanging out with you in this way. She just wants you to enjoy yourself." I saw a sparkle come back into his dimming eyes as he said, putting the cap back on the toothpaste was the one thing she could never get me to remember to do. He seemed satisfied with our interaction, and he got up for the next person, which was Sage. She looked different than the way I had first perceived her. She was more integrated with her body, and her look had changed from academic intelligence to whole being awareness. "Hey, Sage, it's great to see you here. I was just thinking the other day that I hadn't had enough time to connect with you one-on-one. Yeah, I was thinking the same. Okay, well, let's have some fun playing. So, as an only child of parents who are academics, there was a lot of expectation on you to follow in some kind of intellectual pursuit. You have a strong inquisitive mind, so that wasn't an issue. But you are also very intuitive, and because of that, you sometimes seemed irrational in your choices. You have an unexpressed trickster in you that you haven't been able to find a way to bring forward, since your family tends to be very serious and doesn't find humor or light-heartedness appropriate when there is so much suffering in the world. You operate more from your heart than your mind, and that will end up enabling you to make an incredible scientific breakthrough related to a technological device for healthcare. Sage was silent for a moment and said, "It feels good to be in a place where so many people see and get me. I had cut off important parts of myself, imagination, intuition, and playfulness, and it feels good to reclaim them. The details in your story weren't exactly right, but the gist of it was right on. Do you mind if I say what I get about you?" "No, not at all." "You are learning to trust that the universe will support you, because up until the past couple of years it seemed you were the kid at the candy store window. You could look, but you weren't invited to buy. You have amazing gifts for seeing what doesn't work in the world and using your words to turn pain into possibility for something new. When you speak, people will listen, so use your words well." "Thank you, Sage. It's good to know you." "Likewise. We're all in this together." There were a couple more people after Sage, and then Xander took the chair. "Hey, Xander, welcome to Fantasy Island, where your secret personas can be played out." I chuckled briskly, now fully in the swing with my seer character. "It's been great watching how much you have come into your own since you arrived. You remind me of someone who always made me laugh to lighten heavy situations. You have a quality like the Dalai Lama, a childlike innocence that brings joy to an imperfect world. I think your social awkwardness came from being around people who were tiptoeing around your condition and not wanting to talk about it. It was easier for them to keep you out of social situations, and you picked up on their energy. You have an offbeat sense of humor that could not only help you in difficult situations, but could also help people open up to new ways of seeing things. I encourage you to develop it." "I'm pretty shy. What makes you think I'm funny?" "Just a guess. I don't claim to be right." I had always thought that my attempts at humor would just be more cause for people to make fun of me. I appreciate your seeing it as a possible asset." "That's awesome, Xander. I hope you'll have a chance to experience that side of you before we leave." I saw Drew give me the wrap-up signal since the open mic was ready to begin. Xander and I relocated to better seats for viewing the performances. First up was a guitar and flute duo. Then, to my surprise, Xander stood up and took the stage. "Hey everybody, how are you all doing tonight?" he began tentatively. Various responses of great, good, awesome came back. "So, where I came from, I guess I could be called socially awkward. I tried to go to the parties and act like I was having fun, but I could never pull it off. People just thought I was having a pretend excitus attack. I have to tell you, I've loved my entry here. It was more like a sentimental journey than the airport security I was used to. Last time I was in the airport, the TSA guard asked if she had permission to wander me. I said, only if you promise that all of my dreams will come true. I guess that system wasn't so bad after all, because obviously it worked. What's great here, too, is that I don't have to stress about exams. I can just pick the brain of the guy next to me. You know, there are so many things here to have fun doing that I could get distracted from the seriousness of answering my question. So I reminded myself of the line from the Lord's Prayer I learned as a child. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from email. Ha! Of course, that's just another distraction, but maybe I'll find some good clues there. Anyway, this has been an incredible experience. Thank you for helping me to see the power of joy and laughter to create a better world by breaking the tension around what we don't know how to speak about. May the farce be with you. Right on, Xander, I thought to myself as I looked around and saw an ocean of appreciative smiles and people chuckling. I also noticed that all the interdimensionals were here tonight. It feels like a pre-graduation celebration, and I am grateful for the time with these amazing people. Next to take the stage was Callie. She had on a pair of white leggings and a white high-low tank top that flowed with the gracefulness of her stride. It wasn't her beautiful tan skin that was set off by the simple outfit, but rather the tattoo I could see coming up from under her top and continuing around her neck. It was a chain of Celtic knots, as I had described to her. She stepped to the mic and said, I want to thank Ariel for taking me on a journey of a lifetime yesterday. We visited places on the earth that had been badly damaged, and I witnessed the love and creativity that had restored them to a new kind of beauty. I write a form of 10-syllable poetry called decades, which I am going to weave together with dance to celebrate my own restoration. She placed the mic off the stage, easily able to project what she needed to speak in the intimate setting. Sacred, this body that is of the earth. She spoke with a full and reverent resonance as she slowly drew her palms up her beautifully defined legs, catching the hem of her top and pulling it over her head to reveal the full halter tattoo. She dropped the garment in front of her and continued. Her beginning movements were gentle, fluid, and cradling like those of the mother strolling to introduce the world to her new child. Forest still heals me, despite her own wounds. The earth uses me to feel her longing. The strength and power of her breathtaking, expressive flow gave body language a whole new meaning, as she transformed the stage into a chalice into which we all poured our hearts. Pity keeps beauty from showing its face. See me, strong enough to rise to the call. She danced as if she were calling the wind into her service. It blew through us like a gust through an old house, knocking the yellowing family photo from its assigned place. It was a welcome disturbance that brought freshness to what had become stale. You see, suffering, I know only grace. I am not damaged. I am so much more. Beauty speaks respect as the name it wears. When she finished, you could have heard a pin drop. Slowly, everyone caught their breath again, and one by one rose until the whole room was standing. At the end of all of the performances, I made my way over to Kai and Callie. Others were also stopping to say how moved they were by what she did. I haven't been much of a huggy person in my life, but tonight I wanted that kind of touch from everyone. Callie and Kai both felt it from me and gave me the sandwich version of an embrace. Wow, Callie, you blew me away. The tattoo's amazing. You're amazing. Thanks, was all she said. How did they do something so complex that quickly? I asked, in awe of the tattoo. It's incredible what they can do with digital technology now. We found the image you described, and the tattoo artist basically copied it onto my body. It's temporary because Rachel said it wouldn't stay with me when I go back, but I can recreate a permanent one there. Okay, that's the end of chapter 14. So, one more chapter left. Thanks again for joining, and I'm loving reading this to you, and I hope you're loving hearing it. Okay, have a great day.